Take a look at this. Zoom around. Check out those antennas over there. Those antennas, they're from Poland. They're GXPs. That's a multi-band antenna on the bottom, and that's a 30-40 on the top. If you zoom back over to me, and above me is a bunch of tri-banders. A tri-bander up there, and a tri-bander below me. Okay, this is Ray, W2RE, and we're going to discuss how it all started. So we're in the basement. This is my office. This office has been here for almost 30 years. My physical house here in Poquay, New York, where I've lived since 1995. So we purchased this house in 1995 because me and the wife, we had young kids. They were like toddlers. Yeah. And I was looking for a new place for where I can put my radio towers. And we moved from the city of Poughkeepsie to Poquay, New York, on this beautiful mountaintop where it's secluded on a hilltop. We have a few houses here now. They weren't here when we first came in, but we got 2.5 acres on a hilltop. Ham radio it's kind of complicated to explain what it is, but you're basically communicating people from around the world. You're making friends. There's a lot of emergency communications that are involved with ham radios, especially during hurricanes and earthquakes. There's a whole segment of emergency communications just for that segment. I'm more into the HF, high frequency operations, where I'm working people around the world, and I build the biggest stations in the US from mountaintops to ocean fronts. This is Ray, W2RE. Back in the early 1970s, a cousin of mine was into CB. And I was probably maybe 12, 13 years old at the time. He had a moonraker antenna, which is a quad on his apartment in Yonkers, New York. And I would go down there and listen to him work the world on 11 meters. And that's how I got hooked into ham radio. After I graduated high school, I started making some income, and I upgraded, and I got my own station in Carmel, New York, Lake Carmel, New York, where my parents live. And we built a station there, and that's where my ham radio career started. Yeah, my parents were, they were okay with it, because prior to putting that big tower on their roof, I had a Starduster antenna for 11 meters, and they already were used to for me having an antenna on their rooftop.
You left your parents' house, you purchased the house in Poughkeepsie. Was there towers there?
Yes, I actually put a tower up in Poughkeepsie. I had one of those US tubular towers, like a 40-footer, and I put a TH7 on it. But the problem was I was so close to the neighbors that the RFI with their telephones and televisions back in the 1980s was nothing but a headache, and I knew that I had to get out of there. So from 1990 through 95, I did a lot of HF operations there. But in 1995, when it was time, we moved to this hilltop here. This is Ray, W2RE. I'm here in Eastport, Maine. We're going to test out the new stacks here this morning. I started Hudson Valley Towers in 2008 with Lee, Whiskey 2 Delta X-Ray, WW2DX, who were co-partners in remote ham radio, but we were co-partners in Hudson Valley Towers at the time. Between 2008 and 2012, we put up a lot of towers for customers along the East Coast. And then in 2013, I left Pepsi-Cola to pursue the remote ham radio business, which took a lot of time to build all these stations, which we own 25% of the stations on the network today. Well, a lot of things have changed over time. You got to remember, when I was a young ham, there was no such thing as remote operations. We were one of the first ones to start the pay-for-service remote operations, and it built from there. So today, somebody living in a HOA, like I was living in Poughkeepsie, I was able to put a tower up, a 35-foot tower, but anybody living in an HOA today don't have that opportunity, and that's where remote operations come in, and we pioneered that whole pay-to service with the service called remote ham radio. Yeah, you only have to go about 2 feet.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to pump it a few times, okay?
Yep, go ahead. Basically, we took all the pain out of building the station yourself, and the cost. to build a station today from the ground up, just a basic 70-foot tower with a simple Yagi on it, it's going to cost you $25,000-$30,000 to have it professionally installed. You can be on the air for pennies on the dollar with even bigger and better stations, including the stations that we built on the East Coast, on the Atlantic Ocean in Maine. So over here, this right here is the operating console that I operate every day. This is for remote operations. And if you'll notice over here to the left-hand side, there's 43 stations that I can operate from. This station here, this physical station here, if you come on over here, you'll see we have a whole station over here. It's got Flex radio equipment. It's got a Flex PGXL, a Flex 6600, a Flex TGXL. But I haven't operated this station in almost a decade. I'm going to show you how we operate remotely. So I'm physically sitting here in New York, and we're going to remote a station in Jonesport, Maine. I'm going to call CQ here and see if we can generate a couple callers so you can understand what ham radio is all about. So CQ is just calling other people to see if anybody's around. Hello, CQ, CQDX, CQ, Delta X-ray. Beaming Europe, Whiskey 2, Radio Echo. Whiskey 2, Radio Echo, calling CQ, CQDX, CQ Delta X-ray. Whiskey 2, Radio Echo, QRZDX.
Foxtrot number 4, Echo Lima Radio.
Okay, Foxtrot 4, Echo Lima Radio. Good to hear you from France. You're 5 and 9, 59 into the state of Maine. My name is Ray. Phonetically, Romeo Alpha Yankee. How copy?
Yeah, fine copy. Ray, sorry. Whiskey 2 Radio Echo in Maine State. Yes, Fox 4 Echo Lima Radio. Very good afternoon to you. And you're coming very strong. You're 5, 9 plus 15 here. In southwest part of the name is Fred. Foxtrot Radio Echo Delta.
His name is Fred.
And the location in southwest part is not so far from Toulouse.
Okay, very good, Fred, in France. Thank you for the 5-9 plus 15. I'm running a Flex radio here, Flex 6600 radio. The amplifier is a Flex PGXL running about 1400 watts on the peak. My antenna system is 7/7/7. Sitting on a peninsula out into the Atlantic Ocean. The QTH is in Jonesport, Maine. It's the highest point of the peninsula out into the Atlantic. Fox 4 Echo Lima Radio, Whiskey 2 Radio Echo. Back to you, Fred. Go ahead.
Number 7. That's a big gun. A big gun.
Calling me a big gun.
With my two,
He's calling his station a toy compared to mine.
big tower with big antenna.
He has HOA restrictions.
It's not very sympathetic.
Now, if somebody's trying to take my frequency because he's talking too long. Frequencies in use. Frequencies in use.
It's not like in North of America. VM radio is very prehistoric.
Wow, he keeps talking. And then I'm getting QRM here, right here. Here's our signal, and there's this guy's QRMing us.
What does that mean?
That he's too close to us and he's bleeding over his signal. Okay, Fred. Unfortunately, while you were talking, somebody came right up alongside us and QRM'd your whole QS signal. So I didn't catch much of that, Fred. I'm very, very sorry, but somebody came in right on the frequency, so I did not catch much of that. Well, anyway, I will spin my 73s to you. Thanks for the QSL. Fox 4 Echo Lima Radio, Whiskey 2 Radio Echo. Bye-bye. So what happened was I called CQ. The Fox 4 from France came back to me, and he was talking too long. Instead of making the transmission short, he was very long. His signal's not very strong, and somebody came up right along us and probably didn't hear him in France, and they made some QRM, meaning interference in ham radio, and I wasn't able to copy his QSO.
But he's able to hear you because your signal's so strong coming out of
Right.
Maine. His signal coming out of France, the guy may not have heard.
That's
him.
correct. So what happened was, he's in Europe. Another European may have been calling on that frequency and not even heard him. You got to remember, the frequencies on 10 meters go long. So somebody in France may not hear somebody in Germany, and I can hear them. It's a thing called propagation, which creates all these different angles of receive signals. I could try to work somebody else here. Let me see if there's anybody else on frequency here. Whiskey 2 Radio Echo.
Hotel.
Whiskey 2 Radio Echo, Echo Alpha 2 Kilo. Good afternoon. Thank you for your call. Very strong signal, 5 name plus 10 dBs. The name here is Jose, Juliet, Oscar, Sierra, Echo. Back to you, Whiskey 2 Radio Echo, EA 2 Kilo.
Okay, EA2 K, Echo Alpha 2 Kilo, Jose, in Spain. You're very loud. 5.9 plus 20 dB over S9. My name is Ray, Romeo Alpha Yankee. I'm in the state of Maine, running 7 over 7 over 7. Go ahead.
Okay, Ray. Thank you
Look at
very
his
much
signal.
For
Right here.
a nice report and the information. Right. Congratulations for your stack beams. Very strong. Your 5 names
Signals right here.
in the last transmission. I'm running here with the 6-element LFA monobonder at 130 feet high, 1 kilowatt, and an NG2 Ultra. Thank you very much, Ray, for the good contact, and congratulations for your antenna system.
Very good, Jose. Yeah, you're sounding amazing here. Just to give you the quick rundown, 7 over 7 over 7, 1 kilowatt, flex radio, sitting on a peninsula out into the Atlantic Ocean in Jonesport, Maine. I am operating remote. I am physically in New York. Good to work you. I'll continue on, working other stations. Echo Alpha 2 Kilo, Jose, from Whiskey 2 Radio Echo. Bye-bye. So that was Echo Alpha 2, Jose. He's located out of Spain. I could bring him up on QRZ.com. So if I bring up Echo Alpha 2 Kilo, let me bring him up. I'm gonna make a big screen here. Echo Alpha 2 Kilo. And if I bring up his page here, let me make this larger. You'll see his location is Spain. Zaragoza, Spain, and this is his QRZ page. This is his antenna system right here. So there's a thing called QRZ where you can look up everybody that you work, and they'll give you that information.
Let's see yours.
You want to see my page?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to W2RE. Let me get there. W2RE. And my page actually has my website on it, so you can click any of these links in here and it'll bring you right to the website. And you'll see, as I scroll down, all the pictures that I have of my station on the QRZ.com website. And you'll see there's a lot of photos. There's Eastport, Maine. Here's the summit location up in the Catskill Mountains. Here's a helicopter in the front yard in Summit. This QTH is on a hilltop. It's 1,300 feet above sea level. There's no man-made noise here. There's not many houses up here. And the town was friendly for ham radio operators, where you could easily get a building permit. So it made sense to move up here in this part of Dutchess County. The location in Poughkeepsie had limitations. I couldn't get a big signal on 40, 80, or 160. Just because it was such a small lot and I couldn't put up another tower. This tubular tower is alongside the house. So I had to find a QTH where I could have the family have their own part of the yard, and I had mine. If you notice, there's a rock wall here. This rock wall actually divides the lawn from the actual RF field. So I was able to sneak in 3 towers on about almost an acre of land back there. Now it's only 2 towers, but we had 3 towers at one point. So right here, this is Roan 25 tower section. Believe it or not, this tower was 100 feet at one point, but we dismantled it and brought it to another QTH that we bought in the Catskill Mountains called Summit, New York.
Cool. And then what do we got around us?
Behind me is a Roan tower, and it's got the big tri-banders on it for 10, 15, and 20, and we have a big 6-meter on there as well. And then on this tower over here, it's got the GXPs. This is what we use now. These antennas are from Poland. All the new antennas we buy from GXP. I should mention that, you know, this station's been up since 1995, but it's evolved over time. What you see up in the air here today is not what we started off with. I mean, we started off with Cushcraft antennas, and we moved on from that, and now we're doing bigger and better stuff here. I got my harness on. I got my, if you see these big grips right here, these are the to the fall arrest. I got my lanyards. I got my bucket. I'm going up to make a climb. I got to tighten up the rotor while I'm up there. But meanwhile, we're going to film and we're going to make this production. I am 59 years old. I've been doing this for about 25 years. Professionally, for the last 15. Not many at my age can do this. It's very vigorous work, and it's very dangerous. And you have to be in great physical shape to do it. While it's dangerous, if you make one mistake, you could be on the ground. And you don't want that to happen because it could be ugly. You notice I'm using my gorilla hooks as I climb. They're connected to my fall arrest. With the uprise of homeowner associations, it's becoming harder and harder for somebody to put a tower up like this. Let me get strapped in here and I'll explain more. Okay. I'm a little bit out of breath. It's not easy at my age to get up here so quick. I did it in a couple minutes. So, with the HOAs today, it's very difficult for the ordinary ham to get a tower up like this. This is where we come in. We build the biggest stations on mountaintops and ocean fronts for others that can enjoy the hobby remotely. Take a look at this. Zoom around. Check out those antennas over there. Those antennas they're from Poland. They're GXPs. That's a multi-band antenna on the bottom, and that's a 30-40 on the top. If you zoom back over to me, and above me is a bunch of tri-banders. A tri-bander up there, and a tri-bander below me. And take a look at this view. It's absolutely beautiful. I purchased this place in 1995. I've been here 30 years. I'm not moving. This place is great. The propagation's good from here, and there's very little man-made noise. I would like everybody to know the name Ham Radio 24/7. I'm telling you, that's going to be a name you're going to remember, because we're going to bring you content like you've never seen before. Like I said before, we build stations on mountaintop and oceanfront. But not only that, we build them for others. So we're always in the field building stations. And we're going to bring that to you live on social media. As far as other things in the hobby, I think the future of the hobby is with the youths. And we're doing some big things with youths and ham radio. We provide free service to any kid under 21 years old with an FCC license to operate remotely. And that's huge with the young kids today, because they're all on their phones and digital's their thing. So that's where I think the hobby's going. HOA regulations are killing the hobby, so that's where remote comes in, and we're getting young people involved because of remote. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. And here's my QTH here up here in Dutchess County that I've owned since 1995. Now you know a little bit about me. Thanks for watching. As always, Ray, W2RE.